that's interesting. Your lifelines. It's like they've intersected before. You've walked in each other's path. How strange.
Really?
You learned a lesson. A lesson that may serve you again.
Okay, that's enough. Thank you. Let's go. Bye.
Yeah, if Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis knew that they were being asked to come back to a sequel 22 years after the original film, which really has no reason to exist, I'd be acting that way too. Like, I'd be saying, okay, we're done here. But sadly, this week on Talking About the Movies, we're taking a look at yet another pointless legacy sequel, which really does not need to exist. Freakier Friday. We'll take a look at that movie, plus...
The night before, at 2:17 in the morning, every kid woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, and into the dark. And they never came back.
Well, duh, they were obviously going out to raid Area 51 by doing the Naruto run. Some of you have probably no idea what the hell I'm talking about, but seriously, the kids run around in this movie literally like the people that were going to raid Area 51. But in all seriousness, Zach Cregger is returning with a brand new horror film, and boy, is it a doozy. But a good doozy, and yeah, just look at some of this imagery right here. Tell me you're not excited to see weapons after that. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and take a look at these two films. The double feature this week on Talking About the Movies coming your way next.
And welcome to Talking About the Movies. You might be wondering, why does my hair look wet and why do I look completely different from what I was wearing in the Time About the Movies episode I just recorded? Well, after I did that, I got my shower because this is, of course, Steel City Con weekend, as you can see by my wristband here. And yeah, it's been a busy couple of days, and I wanted to get the Talking About the Movies out of the way. And then I was going to go ahead and just get to talk about the movies, and then I just couldn't really focus, so I basically went to go get my shower, got cleaned up, and so here we go. So yeah, this is definitely a much different look for me, but it's not the first time I've done this, where I've recorded something and then went to get the shower, and then come back and I look like I just literally got out of the shower. I mean, that's just kind of what this weekend kind of does to you. And I did sneak off from the Comic-Con a little bit to go check out these two films we're going to talk about today. Two big new releases this weekend as I continue my 20-year celebration of me covering the biggest new releases of the weekend. And this weekend has two big new releases in particular. And yeah, it's what you think they are. So, you know, I'll say this, the second half of the summer has actually been much stronger than the first half, especially, you know, mostly started with Superman. You know, Superman kind of turned the tide. There was a little bit of a bump in the road with Smurfs, but, you know, we got great stuff like the Fantastic Four First Steps, Bad Guys 2, let's say the other guys, The Naked Gun, and with The Naked Gun in particular, you know, legacy sequels have become the norm, and you would think that The Naked Gun was the sign that we're going to start getting really good legacy sequels once again, one after another. And then our first movie comes along, and it makes you realize, oh yeah, typically this is a movie that was made strictly because of the money and the nostalgia's sake. Let's go ahead and take a look at our first film, and that is Freakier Friday. So this is, of course, a sequel to the 2003 remake, which starred Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. You know, Lindsay Lohan at that time was the beginning of her brief rise of, you know, after the Parent Trap, you know, Freaky Friday came out, and then Mean Girls, and then there was another one that maybe I forgot about, but then she did Herbie Fully Loaded. These were movies that were big hits in general. Even Herbie Fully Loaded, which was not a big critical success, but they were critical. You know, Freaky Friday and Mean Girls were critical, financial hits. And then after Herbie Fully Loaded, her career really took a nosedive after that with Just My Luck and Georgia Rule and I Know Who Killed Me. And then she just kind of disappeared out of the limelight because of the stuff that was going on with her behind the scenes. And slowly but surely, she's been making a comeback, and this is one of the movies that is trying to reignite that comeback. Of course, Jamie Lee Curtis, in the 22 years since the original Freaky Friday, has won an Oscar for her work in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I like the original the 2003 Freaky Friday movie. I think it's a fantastic film where these two really get a chance to shine. Great film directed by Mark Waters, who would later also direct Lohan and Mean Girls. Of course, this is actually the seventh film in this franchise when you include all the different remakes. I mean, going all the way back to the original with Jodie Foster, and then there's been versions for television. Disney Channel did one recently, a remake of that, which looked terrible in every way, shape, or form. And here you have this movie, which from the very beginning when they first announced it, my first thought was, man, this is good. This is not. I really hate the time that we're living in, because everyone saw how successful Top Gun Maverick was, and saw how successful Ghostbusters Afterlife was, and their first thought was, well, gee, if those movies can be successful with a legacy sequel, then let's do it with every single movie that's been around. Because ever since then, everybody has been coming out of the woodwork to take whatever movie has been made in the past and make a legacy sequel or a remake or a reboot. Even with Lindsay Lohan, you know, last year we had Mean Girls, the musical, which they didn't sell as a musical because they were so scared that people weren't going to go see it. And they probably should have been scared, because the movie was not that great. I don't care what anybody says. That movie sucked. And I love the original Mean Girls. And let me just tell you right now, you're probably not going to like what I have to say about this movie. I'm going to be one of those people that's going to go against the grain, because this has been getting a lot of positive reviews, and I have to be the jackass that literally has to come in and tell you, this movie ain't that great. So it is now 22 years after Tess and Anna, played once again by Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis, endured an identity crisis. Anna has a daughter and a soon-to-be stepdaughter, and as they navigate the challenges that come with two families merge, Tess and Anna discovers that lightning strikes twice, because not only are their bodies switched around, but now it's the two kids who have now had their bodies switched around, with the two kids now having the personalities of Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis, and Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis now having the personality of these kids. And yeah, brilliant screenwriting here for a sequel that was begging to get made, and especially for the big screen. I know Jamie Lee Curtis said she was trying really hard to get this onto the big screen, because this was originally intended to be a Disney Plus original movie. And if you saw the movie, you can see why that was, because yeah, this feels like a movie that was made strictly for Disney Plus. This feels like a film like Hocus Pocus 2, or Disenchantment, or Noelle, or Godmothered, or what was the other one that just came out recently that looked like something that was made for Disney Plus exclusively? You know, this doesn't feel... You know, here's the difference between a Disney Plus exclusive movie. Lilo and Stitch at least works on the big screen, because the effort was being put in there with the visuals. I mean, the visuals looked pretty good on the big screen. And, you know, that worked on a big screen. This is something that should have been strictly on Disney Plus. I'm sorry to tell you this, people, but this is not a good movie. And it's not the fault of the actors. In fact, they're the best things about this movie. I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis, what more do you got to say about Jamie Lee Curtis? I mean, she's always been entertaining to watch, no matter what she's in. I mean, she's been the one thing that's made those terrible Halloween trilogies. Is that terrible Halloween trilogy that Blumhouse did recently. She's the reason why those movies at least have something of value to them, because she's game for that. No matter how bad the movie is, you can tell that she's putting 110% into those movies, more than you could say about some of the other bad Halloween movies she's been involved in. And I'm glad to see Lindsay Lohan back in movies like this, like to see her now as an adult, and now see her with a family of her own. Like, if you watch stuff on TV and on streaming, you see that commercial now on all the time where she's on there promoting Verizon, and she definitely looks like a different person than she did back in the day. Like, you don't feel like she's a person that is going back to her party girl ways. Like, I was glad to see that she was getting back in the bigger movies like this. I hope this is the beginning of a new career renaissance for her, because I do like Lindsay Lohan as an actress. I liked her back in the day when she was at the peak. I like her now. I think she has a lot of potential. And yeah, they are the two things that are the glue that holds the movie together, in at least in a way, shape, or form. But other than that, though, the rest of the movie is about as lazy and as cheap and as pathetic of a sequel as you can get. It is literally, let's just do the same thing we did in the last movie. Let's go ahead and dumb back down the characters again. And now we can do it now because they're older and they're not as smart as they used to be back in the day. And like, let's just do that, and let's just sell as a movie because, hey, everybody else is doing a legacy sequel, so we could do it too. The problem is, here's the problem with legacy sequels, and this is more a problem with me about legacy sequels than actually trying to make a legacy sequel. I mean, look at what the Naked Gun at least made sense for a legacy sequel. This is something they've been wanting to do for a while now, and it was made by people who knew the source material of The Naked Gun very well. They kept the style of comedy that was in the Naked Gun movies of Leslie Nielsen lore, and Liam Neeson was a great replacement for Leslie Nielsen. You could tell that he was the son of Frank Drebin Jr., and the jokes were very funny, and they took it back to what makes spook movies so goddamn important. Movies like this, and films like I Know What You Did Last Summer, which we had earlier in the year, and Karate Kid Legends, we get these legacy sequels, and they're out there because Top Gun Maverick was a big hit. Ghostbusters Afterlife was a massive hit. Everyone's trying to recapture the magic of the original movie by making a sequel, but if you're gonna make a sequel that has a point to exist. Top Gun Maverick, it was something that had been in the works for years and had a purpose for existing. Ghostbusters Afterlife had a purpose for existing. This does not have a purpose for existing. The only reason this movie exists is because Freaky Friday was a hit movie back in the day, and instead of studios trying to do original material, they're bringing back older movies because it brings in the money. And yeah, that might work in the way, shape, or form, but how are you supposed to be a major company and just do nothing but sequels or legacy reboots? Like, we're literally witnessing the end of the movie industry with stuff like this. And we're going to talk about an original movie that just came out this weekend that is exactly the complete opposite of what I'm talking about here. But we're really at a point where, if we're not careful, Hollywood's really going to run out of ideas, and it's going to be nothing but sequels, reboots, remakes, and that's it. No original materials whatsoever. No original stories. No original films. No more original blockbusters. I mean, we're heading into a dangerous situation, people. And a movie like this, and a movie like I Know What You Did Last Summer, and a movie like the many legacy reboots and sequels that we have coming out nowadays, we gotta be careful about where we're going in this direction, people, because this is heading into territory that could be extremely dangerous to the movie industry if they're putting the focus on these sequels in general. I really am afraid that the movies as we know it are just going to completely fall apart within the next decade or so, because just like these movies are so ridiculous, these sequels are so completely pointless, and there's no reason to continue the storylines of any of these films. I just saw an article today when Simon Pegg talking about someone was asking him to do Shaun of the Dead 2, and he literally just told people, we don't need to do that. It's done. The story ended. I wish more people out there would be more hesitant to say, hey, I'm not doing this because we don't need to do this. We've already wrapped up the story. But no, you got studios out there saying, well, fuck you. We need to do... The audiences are clearly demanding for sequels to the films that clearly nobody was asking for. Practical Magic, let's make that, because that was a hit over 20 years ago. My Best Friend's Wedding is getting a sequel made by the same people that did Materialist, that movie that just came out. Why? Why are we doing this? The story ended. There's no reason to make sequels to these movies that were originally one-offs, and just because they were big hits back then, it doesn't mean these movies are going to be hits nowadays. And I'm sorry, we're living in a really bad time for movies like this. Like, every once in a while we'll get something good, like we just had recently, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F last year. It finally gave us the Beverly Hills Cop sequel that we had been waiting to see for a long time. The movie, the real third Beverly Hills Cop movie, so we can completely forget about that terrible third Beverly Hills Cop movie that came out in the 90s. Like, every once in a while we'll get a good legacy sequel. I mean, the Bad Boys movies have been good legacy sequels. The last two that we've had. Mission Impossible had a great number of good movies long after that most people thought, okay, we're kind of done with Mission Impossible. I mean, hell, Tom Cruise with Top Gun. Like, he brought Top Gun back, and it worked to a T. It worked very well because they added a new element to it. We're heading into a seriously bad situation with legacy sequels, and unfortunately, it's going to get worse before it gets better. So, after that complete bashing of legacy sequels of films that we've had in the past, and many more that we're going to have coming up that are extremely pointless and will probably not more likely be bad than good, why do I not like this movie? Well, like I said before, it's literally the same plot as the first movie, except now we're adding the kids into it. And the whole purpose of this movie is to have these kids break up this marriage, to break up this pending marriage with their mother. And I'm sorry, I can't believe that we have a sequel here that is literally taking a subplot from Mulan 2 of all things, because this is literally the same plot as Mulan 2. It's literally a plot where Mulan 2's plot is where literally, the movie is the whole purpose of the movie is to save China by having these 3 girls marry these people that they're supposed to be married to save China and basically have world peace. And the whole purpose of the movie essentially comes down to, Mulan basically saying, no, you have to follow your heart. You can't do is. But the part I want to get to here that is very similar to Freakier Friday. There's a subplot where Mulan's about to get married to I can't remember what's Mulan's boyfriend, Shaolin. Li Shang, I'm sorry. Like I said, I haven't seen Mulan in the wild, so I apologize for not getting it right. But there's a subplot in the movie where Mushu, not played by Eddie Murphy, has to go ahead and break up Mulan and Li Shu's pending marriage because, if he doesn't, he'll be out of a job. And the whole purpose of his subplot in this is to break up this marriage for no other reason except for his own selfish needs. That's exactly what happens in this movie with these kids. They are doing nothing but breaking this marriage up, coming up for their own personal needs. Where is the message here? Where is the love that I'm supposed to get from this? I'm sorry, this is a terrible movie. The comedy is extremely lazy. It's literally this is literally a film that feels like it was written by people that had nothing to do with the original movie. Nobody from the original movie who wrote the original film or directed the original film is back for this. The only people that are back for this are Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis. And this is written by people that clearly had no intentions on it, that probably had never even seen the original Freaky Friday and said, well, let's just go ahead and just redo the same movie, except let's add the kids to add another element to it. And let's add, because it'll add 20 more minutes to the movie compared to the original film. And no joke, this thing is literally 20 minutes longer than the original movie. And it drags. It drags on and on and on. When they bring back these people from the original movie, it's the literal definition of fan service. Not in a good way. Not like it's because people like to criticize me for saying that I really like Ghostbusters Afterlife, even though that movie in particular was also nostalgia and fan service. Because, the original Ghostbusters are in those movies. Yeah, it's clearly nostalgia and clickbaiting and fan baiting, but at the same time, there is still a really good movie in those 2 Ghostbusters movies, Afterlife and Frozen Empire, that is much better than anything in this pile of garbage right here. And like I said, Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, it really isn't their fault. They're trying the best they can to save this movie. But I'm sorry, everything else in this movie, the pointless returns of characters, and this whole stupid subplot about these 2 kids trying to break up this marriage to come, that really bugged the hell out of me watching this movie. I did not feel any sympathy for anybody in this movie whatsoever. Any of the main characters in here. Everything about this movie is been there, done that. It's lazy, it's terribly put together, and it feels like a film that was literally made by people who never saw the original, the 2003 remake. I keep saying original, but for most people, the 2003 one is the original. Most people have never seen the 76 one with Jodie Foster in it, but they should, because that's a good movie. And the original, the 2003 Freaky Friday, is a great movie. This is not. This is literally a Disney Plus movie put out on the big screen because Disney was so desperate for money, and they would rather put their money into promoting these movies because they think it's going to make money than actually putting the money to good movies like Elio, which unfortunately still is a flop because people were because the studio was too stupid to promote the movie more to people than they did with their big blockbuster pictures of the summer. I'm flabbergasted. I'm flabbergasted by Disney right now. I think most people are flabbergasted by Disney's decisions right now. But I'm sorry. Elio deserved much better appreciation than this pile of garbage is getting right here. I really did not enjoy this movie. And coming from somebody who loved the original Freaky Friday, I was let down by it. And I know I'm going to be one of those few people that says this, but I'm sorry. I have to say it. The movie is not that good. The movie is not even great. It's a lazy, pointless sequel that does not need to exist. It does not need to have any purpose of existing. If you wanted to do this 3 to 5 years after the original movie, okay, that's fine. But I'm sorry, 22 years is way past the point of me giving a crap about what's going on with these people. It ended. You need to move on. There is no reason to add this movie. Nothing is added to this film that the original ending to the 2003 film did already. That's just my personal take on it. I know I'm going to get completely trounced by people for saying that I didn't like this film, but I'm sorry. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. I really did not enjoy Freakier Friday. Sadly, as much as I give Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis the praise for holding this movie together as much as they can, besides them, big thumbs down. Big thumbs down. I really did not enjoy this movie at all. So anyway, that's Freakier Friday. I know I'm going to get weaned for saying I didn't like it, but I promise you that I do have nothing to say bad about our last film that we'll take a look at, and that is Weapons, which we'll take a look at that coming up right after this. So stick around. We'll be right back. It's time once again to delve deeper into my favorite TV show of all time, The Simpsons. It's another September, and that means it's time to head back into 30 brand new episodic reviews of arguably the greatest TV show of all time. When we last left off, we were nearing the end of Season 2 and completed 31 of the original shorts from The Tracy Ullman Show. This year, we complete the rest of Season 2 with the final 5 episodes in which Ringo Starr will show up to give Marge the courage to paint a brilliant portrait of Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman will show up as Lisa's substitute teacher, even though it's not technically credited as Dustin Hoffman, but you can tell it's his voice.
Mrs. Krabappel, you're trying to seduce me.
Homer and Marge will face the biggest challenge of their marriage to date. Bart, Milhouse, and Martin will face their friendship on the line over a comic book of all things, and Bart and Homer want revenge from Mr. Burns for stiffing them for Blood to Live. And then we'll delve into all 24 episodes of Season 3, from the epic season opener with the king of pop himself, Michael Jackson, although again not credited, but it's definitely him. And you still can't find this episode on Disney Plus for the stupidest of reasons.
What'd you say your name was?
Michael Jackson.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Well, have you heard of MTV?
Nope.
Motown.
No.
Beat It.
You beat it.
To Magic Johnson pulling a homer.
The Lakers have the ball. Magic Johnson coming down the floor on a fast break. Magic snaps his feet, slips out from under it. The ball flies out of his hands, hits the referee in the head, goes in the basket. It's a three-point play. The Lakers win.
Looks like I pulled a homer.
We'll watch as we see how Homer proposed to Marge and how Bart came into the world.
Would you mind if I took it off now? The oil is burning my finger.
Oh, sure.
Homer will become part of the greatest softball game in history. Beverly D'Angelo will bag herself a homer. Otto will rock out alongside Spinal Tap, and characters like Sideshow Bob and Unky Herb make their returns to the show.
Herb?
And hell, we'll even finish the month off with the first episode of Season 4, the greatest season in Simpsons history with Camp Krusty. An episode so good, it was almost the Simpsons movie 15 years before we actually got the damn movie. As well as the last 18 shorts from the Tracy Ullman Show era, and just for the heck of it, we'll take a look at all the most recent Simpsons shorts from the longest daycare to the newest ones on Disney+. It's another exciting month of Simpsonic reviews coming your way all month long, and it begins right now. Welcome to September 2025. And welcome back to the show. Let's move on to our last one that we have here, which I think will be much better, which will be a much better review that most of you should appreciate than what I had to say about Freakier Friday, and that is Weapons, Zach Krager's follow-up to his breakout hit from a couple years ago, Barbarian, which really did come out of nowhere. It came out late in 2022. It was a film that kind of came and really was the big unexpected hit that a lot of people really weren't expecting. It actually was the #1 movie at the box office. I think it made more than double its profit, double its budget back. It was a big hit. And yet, for some reason, it has never been released on Blu-ray or DVD. It has never been released on any form of physical media. And there's a weird rights issues with it that I can't really remember what happened. But essentially, Disney and Fox didn't have the rights to put this movie out on Blu-ray or DVD. And so the only way you can get a physical copy of this is if you go through not even bootleg sites, but if you go to specialty websites, like boutiques websites, I think Sloppy Second Sales actually had Barbarian available for a limited time on Blu-ray. But, I mean, it's not like you can't find it anywhere. Sometimes you'll see it on FX or FXX, or sometimes you'll see it on... it's still available on Hulu. So it's not like it's a movie that you can't find anywhere out there. You can still find it in many places, but it's just kind of weird that it's never been released on Blu-ray. But, I mean... it turns Zach Cregger into this big name director now, and big name, not just the director, but a person that when you see his name on something, people will go and see it. I mean, just earlier this year we had the movie Companion, which was a highly acclaimed movie. It wasn't a big hit at the box office, but it has gone on to have a notable success to it because of how the movie did well critically. People really love that film. It's been on HBO and HBO Max all the time. It is a hit. It's a film that will probably have the same cult status as a film like Barbarian did. And then you get a movie like this, which was a movie that has a very interesting production history in the people that were almost attached to it. I mean, this was a movie that was in this big bidding war with a lot of different people. And, Zach Cregger himself said the script was given through the software app to these studios on the same day that they entered the market on it. And by about an hour and a half into getting the film out there, the head of Warner Brothers basically closed the deal with him, and they secured the rights within 24 hours. And it was a movie that... what's interesting about this, of all things, is that Jordan Peele, who was going to have another movie with his name attached to it coming up next month with him, which trailer for it just came out this week and looks pretty cool. Basically looks like the horror version story of Todd Blackledge's story. Not Todd Blackledge, Todd Marinovich. Tom Marinovich. If you don't know the story about Tom Marinovich, definitely look that story up, because it's definitely a very interesting story, and I would not be shocked at all if the people who made him got that story for the inspiration for this film. And I'll delve more into that when we get to that review for that film next month. But I bring Jordan Peele's name up because they were actually in the bidding war to work with Universal on this, and because he didn't get it, he actually parted ways with his longtime managers. And then, what's interesting, even more interesting, is that the latter of those two, Peter Principato, was actually also Cregger's manager, and he basically let them go after they lost the auction for this. It's really incredible to think about how this movie was so sought after that Jordan Peele literally fired his agents and managers because he didn't win the auction. That's how much people were so invested into coming onto this. And even more interesting is that they had all these different people attached to it. Pedro Pascal was involved in it. They had Renata Renivza. I'm not pronouncing this name right. Renata hold on a second. Renata Rainsby. I swear to God, it literally took me almost 10 minutes to try to find a video or something that shows me the pronunciation of how to say this word. And then again, I could just go to this video where it says celebrities saying their own names. Let me see if this actually says it.
Hello, my name is Renata Reinsve.
Renata Reinsve. Thank you, Renata. I'm sorry I got your name. I butchered your name. But the point I'm trying to get across here is that, good Lord, I haven't even gotten into the review for this yet, but the story of this is just fascinating, because not only was Pedro Pascal involved, not only was Renata involved, Brian Tyree Henry was involved, Tom Burke was involved. They all dropped out because when this was getting made, the Hollywood strikes happened from 2023. And Pascal had to leave because he was going against his commitment for the Fantastic Four First Steps. So they basically had to replace a majority of the leading cast in this movie. And this movie seemed like it was on its way to becoming one of those films. It sounds like a movie that could have been another one of those films that was just a film that had so much hype going behind it, and it couldn't live up to that hype whatsoever. But Then the trailers came out. And that bad hype that could have ruined the movie completely went away because everyone was hooked by the marketing campaign. Everyone wanted to know what the hell was going on with these kids in this movie. Because as the poster says here, last night at 2:17, every child from Mrs. Gandy's class woke up, got out of bed, went downstairs, opened the front door, walked into the dark, and they never came back. Yeah, they walked out doing the Naruto Area 51 move. If you don't remember, rating Area 51, that was literally the move that everybody was going to do there, doing the Naruto move, like moving around like that. I can't do it here because I just got out of the shower, but you get the idea, and that's kind of the setup for this movie. People were captivated by the marketing for the film. It did a good job of not spoiling what was going on in this movie. They took the barbarian route, and, they did a good job of selling it to people. It was highly acclaimed. It's going to be the big hit of the weekend. And someone who saw the movie, you're not prepared for the insanity that this film has to offer you. It's a good kind of insanity. It's a really damn good insanity. And it just goes to show you that we are living in a very good time for horror movies. In talking about the plot of the film itself, it follows the mysterious case of 17 children from the same classroom mysteriously run away on the same night, having been apparently abducted by an unseen force. The woman who teaches these kids, played by Julia Gardner, who's having a really good summer, of course, playing the Silver Surfer in Fantastic Four, is being heavily criticized because nobody really knows what the hell is going on and why what does this woman know? And you have all these different people. Josh Brolin plays Archie, who's one of the fathers of one of the children. You have this corrupt police officer played by Alden Ehrenreich, who I'm really glad to see is getting more film roles because I really liked what he did with Hail Caesar, and I really liked him in Solo, A Star Wars Story. He was also in Cocaine Bear, and here he has another really good movie to his name. You also have Benedict Wong playing the principal, Amy Madigan, haven't seen her in a long time, Toby Huss, Cotton Hill. I guess now he's also Dale from King of the Hill, which, by the way, the reboot came out this week. Fantastic. I'll delve more into it in my review for coming up on a Reviewer Network Live tomorrow, or by the time you'll hear this, by tonight, because I'm recording this on Saturday night. But you have Toby Huss, Sarah Paxton. Remember, she was a teen to herself, and now she's getting these motherly roles. It's really interesting to see her as an adult woman in this now. Like Justin Long, June Diane Raphael. I mean, a really strong cast in the movie. This film just works. It works because it has this incredible mystery, and it sucks you in by the setup. All these kids just randomly got out of bed at 2:17, never came back, and you're wondering what the hell is going on, what the hell is happening. The look of this movie is so creepy and terrifying. The visuals in this movie are incredibly dark. It's gritty. This is not this feels like an old school fairy tale. Not the Disney fairy tales, not like The Little Mermaid or Beauty and the Beast. No, the Brothers Grimm fairy tales. The darker fairy tales, like the stories where there is no real happy endings in this situation here. Like, this feels like something from an old fairy tale, and it just works on every single level. They let Zach Cregger cook, and this was the end result. You got a really damn good movie out of this, and it's just such an incredible achievement for Zach Cregger. For the people involved in this movie, everybody in here did a fantastic job. The visuals of this movie are very well done. I give a lot of credit to Larkin Siepel for doing the cinematography for this. Cregger did the music with The Holidays, Ryan and Hayes. Really good score overall. Some really creepy visuals all throughout the movie. Silly visuals, too. Like, this is also kind of a comedy, too, especially towards the end, where it gets so insane and so ridiculous. I am not going to spoil any of it for you, but let me just tell you, it's worth every penny. It's a movie that is so ridiculous and so insane that you just can't help but just stand up and applaud for it. I know I certainly did, and I know a lot of people that I saw this movie with were applauding as well, because they were just having such a good time with it. I mean, like I said, man, we are living in a very good time for horror movies. Not just with just because we're getting so many good horror films all across the board. We're getting it from people that we don't expect to be involved in a lot of horror movies, like I mentioned before. Jordan Peele. He kind of started the trend with Get Out, and then Us, and then Nope, and then everyone else started to reach their dark side. Chris Rock was inspired with the Book of Saw. We had this movie here with Zach Krager. There are so many other people that are making their jump to horror movies, and are doing a pretty good job at it overall. Sequels, horror sequels, are getting really good. I mean, this year alone, we've had Final Destination Bloodlines. Not but a couple years ago, we had the last Saw movie, was it Saw X? What was the last one? Saw X. Yeah, Saw X. Saw X was the best movie in the Saw series. I mean, it's amazing how we're in such a good time for horror right now. Even original concepts, the Smile movies have been great. I'm not a big horror person, but I'm just impressed by how this new generation of horror people have come in and basically said, we're not making these movies anymore where people just go to see it on opening weekend and then they'll completely forget about it. We're going to make sure that people remember these movies. And they have done a fantastic job of bringing these franchises back and creating new franchises and new horror classics and just making it work to a T. And you can tell that Zach Krager took a lot of inspiration from a number of different things. Like he said himself, he was inspired by Magnolia, which is a very polarizing Paul Thomas Anderson movie. I thought it was a pretty good movie overall, but certainly not as good as some of Thomas Anderson's other movies like Boogie Nights and Punch Drunk Love. I think those are much better movies. Like, he takes inspiration from Magnolia. You can see a little bit of inspiration from, like, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And again, just these classic horror movies from the past. You can see and feel that they're in this movie. And it is a film that is just working on every level because the man who's making this is so committed to making a fantastic film. And he pays it off big time. I mean, going back to the new generation of horror, the best movie this year is Sinners. A movie that Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan made, creating this impressive new twist on the vampire on the vampire story that we hadn't seen done before, and it works incredibly well to a T. It's a movie that still is the best thing I've seen all year long, and it's a guarantee that this one will surely be up there in the best of the year. Like, it might not make my top 10 because we've had so many good movies this year, especially good horror movies, but it'll definitely be considered one of the highlights of the year. It lived up to everything I was hoping for when I saw the trailers for it. It's creepy, it scares the hell out of you, it makes you laugh for how ridiculous it gets. It's a movie that is so well done and so well put together, you can't help but admire it. This is a terrific film, an amazing film. I love the hell out of this movie. So yeah, needless to say, massive thumbs up, big thumbs up for Weapons. Definitely check it out, especially if you love Barbarian. You're going to love the hell out of this movie. It's one of the best movies I've seen this year. So there you go. That's my thoughts on both Freakier Friday and Weapons. So let me know down below what you think of these movies. And yeah, please be reasonable with Freakier Friday. I know people are going to get on me for not liking it, but I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about that film. So with all that said, next week the big new release is going to be Bob Odenkirk returning in the role of Nobody in Nobody 2, the sequel to the 2011 movie. And trailers for that have looked really good. I love the first one with the Holiday Road trailer playing over these great action sequences. It's directed by the same guy that did no, because the first one was directed by the guy who did Hardcore Henry, which is a very underrated film. Who's doing the new one? Timo Shanjato, who did May the Devil Take You and also Headshot. And I've seen little bits and pieces of it, and I really like the style of those movies. I haven't seen them in full, but seeing what he's doing with Nobody 2 with some really fun action sequences, I'm really hoping this is going to be a really damn good movie. The trailers have me so excited. I love the first film. I can't wait to check this movie out when I get to see it next week. And hopefully I'll come back with a good review for it. I'm hoping for the best for this one. So yeah, Nobody 2 will be the next movie I'll take a look at on the next episode. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like button, subscribe button, notification button. Check out my last reviews for The Naked Gun and The Bad Guys 2, and also the playlist of some other reviews I've done. So with all that said, I will leave you with a look at movies now available on Blu-ray or DVD, or coming out on Blu-ray or DVD this week. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I promise you next time I will have a much better look and not look like I just came out of the shower. So yeah, it's been a long weekend. Of course, Steel City Con's happened this week, so I have to get my material out there to you guys some way and somehow. So with all that said, I'm off. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, thanks for watching. Take it easy. See you next time. Bye.